Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today, this Dr.Bhawani Shankar Adhikari has come with a new idea, new topic of BBS second year, and this is the communication skill. The book is the business communication, right? And then it is in first unit first, and today I'm talking about oral communication. And there are different modes of communication. I will be coming to next time, modes of communication. And before I talked about the visual communication and written communication, so this is the oral communication process, how we communicate orally, right? Let's see. Oral communication is the fundamental means of communication skill. That means oral communication is the basic means of communication. It is the basic skill. It is the second skill after listening skill. Right? There are four skills of language: listening first, speaking second, reading third, and writing is the fourth skill of just language learning system. And this oral communication is the second. This is the speaking skill of the communication of the language, right? So oral communication is the fundamental means of communication skills. It is the second stage of speaking after listening skill. That means first we listen and then we start speaking. Without listening, we cannot speak. Without exposure, too much of exposure in speech, we cannot produce the sound. We cannot utter a sound. So even a child listens a lot from the parents and other family members, and later starts speaking or comes in speech. So this is called second stage after speaking skill, after listening skill, right? We can formulate oral communication process in 7 components directly involved in communication. That means there are 7 processes. They are directly involved in the process of communication. These 7 stages, 7 elements, 7 activities, 7 components, 7 features that involved in communication skills are they are the speaker, right? First is speaker. Without speaker, there is no communication. The speaker communicates. Speaker delivers the message, and there is a message. The speaker carries a certain message. Second stage is called message. Third is a channel. What sort of channel? Through which channel? Which medium of language? Either English or Nepali or Sanskrit, or I'm just right now speaking, giving my communication message through the recording, through YouTube. This is a channel, right? And another one is listener. There must be the listener for the communication skill. Without listener, communication cannot take place. And feedback comes automatically with the movement of the heads, with the movements of something, facial expressions. And feedback helps to improve the language speaker. What is to be spoken, what is to be avoided, what is better to be just carried out, right? And then inferences means noise. What sort of noises are there? And last stage is called situation. That is a context. What type of context, right? The speaker and the listener are having the activities of communication, skills of language, right? Now I'm talking in detail all these 7 stages, 7 components, what they are. First comes the speaker. What are the speaker then? The speaker initiates, means begins this communication. It is the speaker who starts communication. From him, the communication initiates. And speaking involves encoding ideas and information in linguistic sound patterns. Speaking means encoding. We encode the ideas. We encode the information. Put the ideas and put the information in linguistic sound patterns. It is the sound I'm speaking. You, listener, are listening my sound and getting some sort of information, getting some type of ideas. What communication skill exactly? This is the pattern, sound patterns, linguistic sound patterns helps to encode ideas and information to the listeners, right? Both in birds, listener and speakers are equally to be active in communication skill. It is not only one to be just active. Speaker may use visual and non-verbal cues. Visual cues, just movement of the body, right? Non-verbal, right, cues without speaking, some sort of gestures. The elements like the stress is there. How the stress the speaker gives to which word, that carries the meaning. Tone, what type of tone he or she is giving to the particular use of the sound, that is another speech, another ideas that carries the meaning. And the pitch, what sort of pitch can help to decode the message. Speech, stress, tone can help to decode the message, to receive the message, to transform the message, to transmit the message to the listener, right? The utterance, that means, what does utterance mean? Utterance means speech. Utterance means a combination of sounds, combination of tone and gestures. That is called utterance. Reaches the audience in the form of auditory, means we can listen, auditory, and visual signals. Listeners can have the listening activity, that is auditory, and even visual signals. Maybe I'm just moving my hands and all these things. These are called visual signals. This is how the auditory takes place, and this is the way of speaking. This is speaker does in the communication process, right? Now, second is called message. In the communication of the speaker, of the communicator, there is a message. Without a message, no communication takes place. No communicator can communicate, right? So there is a message, right? And message is the information conveyed by the speaker. What the speaker wants to convey, what the speaker wants to tell, right? Message is the information that speaker tells to the listener, right? That is called message. It consists of spoken words. Through spoken words, message can be carried out. Non-verbal cues means with the movement of the bodies, with the just symbols. This means best idea, maybe not working well. These are the non-verbal cues. And all the visual elements like appearance. Appearance is also the symbols or a kind of object to give the message. If I'm angry, maybe this listener knows what the mood of the speaker is to get the message, right? The orally transmitted message can both be verbal as well as non-verbal. It can be verbal message, it can be non-verbal gesture, with the movement of the head, with the movement of the eyes, with the movement of the fingers and the other things. That is the gesture. Non-verbal and verbal both can be the message. Now, third one is called channel. What sort of channel we would be using? The channel makes communication possible. It is the channel of YouTube. It is the channel of laptop. It is the channel of recording. It is the channel of this camera. That's from where listeners can see. This is a channel. So this channel helps the communication possible, right? In face-to-face communication, the signals themselves function as channel. Signals, how? That becomes the channel. Face-to-face communication is the richest channel because it allows the speaker to transmit message through verbal as well as non-verbal cues, right? So it allows verbal as well as non-verbal cues. For example, telephone is the channel in telephone conversation, because in telephone conversation there is no visual appearance, right? And we can communicate through the mobile, and maybe that is the channel. Telephone is the channel, mobile is the channel for communication, for speech, right? This is what is required for communication skill. Another one is listener. The listener. Without listener, no need of the speech. No one speaks. I'm also speaking because you are listening somewhere later in my channel, right? The listener receives signals transmitted by the speaker and in turn decodes them and gives them meaning. Signals Jessica decodes and gives the meaning, assigns the meaning to the words, right? The listener even provides the feedback through facial expressions and the movement of the head, right? Maybe facially he's happy, maybe good understanding, better feedback. Maybe facially he's confused, maybe uncertain. It can be the information to the speaker that his speech is not functioning very well and he has to improve. And movement of the head, maybe that is the head, maybe that is not listening, some sort of things he speaks through the head, through these facial expressions that can be shown. The speaker and the listener can also change the rules in face-to-face communication. Sometimes the listener can be speaking, right? And speaker should stop. and speaker can be speaking and the listener should listen. That can be the exchange of the rule, right? So always speaker cannot be speaking, always listener cannot be listening, and there can be the change of the rules of the speaker and the listeners, right? And another element component of oral communication is feedback, right? Feedback is the element, is the source, is the main idea that helps the speaker to improve his or her ideas. Instant feedback is one of the biggest advantages of oral communication. Instant means direct. At once we give the feedback. That is one of the biggest advantages of oral communication. The feedback provided by the listener can be verbal feedback, can be non-verbal feedback, can be visual feedback. Verbal means by the speech, he or she speaks and then gives the feedback. Maybe non-verbal with the gestures of the body. Maybe visual, just okay, with the almost signs, right? The verbal feedback may take the form of questions in verbal feedback, maybe suggestions, maybe comments, and sound comes there. In non-verbal, what happens? And visual, the language of the body language, right? See the body language, that the body language, the facial expressions, not this live, the body language, like, not live. There is a just a typing mistake, please listen it is like, not live. The body language like the facial expressions, right? And like the movements of the body, and the gestures of the listener can give the instant feedback to the speaker, right? Body language means facial expressions. Body language like, there is a typing mistake, not live, like K is miss, right, has become F. So facial expression is one body language, movements of the body, that is another body language, gestures of the listener, that is another K body language, right? Now another one is interference. Interference is the noise of anything that affects the communication process, right? That is the noise of anything people generally make. For example, can you hear me? If in Taliban conversation is the way of making the channel clear enough, that is a noise. Can you hear me? Am I audible? In while delivering a speech, someone says with the mic, am I audible? That am I audible means can it be possible to listen, right? That is another, and just interference. This is how the communication takes place, right? But in oral communication, both internal and external noise can affect the quality of communication. If there is a greater noise inside, and communication cannot take place. If something is going on outside, and the communication may not become quite good. Right now there is no external communication, just like interference. Even internal interference is not there, so I can communicate well and you can understand. Otherwise you would be disturbed. Otherwise, that with the external and internal disturbances, communication cannot take place and the listener cannot understand very well, right? Physical noise and disturbances can also reduce the effectiveness of communication, right? If there is a physical noise, effectiveness of communication can be reduced. If there is a disturbance physically, and that can be reduced, right? So last one is called situation. In situation means context. In what type of situation he or she is speaking. Situation is the context in which they speak in communication takes place, right? Okay, there is also text. S is missing, right? Please make it text. Situation is the context in which the communication takes, T-A-K-E-S, S is missing, takes place, right? Communication takes place. Situation includes the relationship between the communicators, right? Relationship between the communicators, listener and the communicators, right? For effective communication, it is crucial that the communicators properly understand the situation. Both listeners and then even the communicators understand the situations properly. If they understand the situation properly, context situation properly, and then the communication takes place effectively. Otherwise, communication cannot take place effectively. This is how the oral communication process can move ahead with 7 elements, with 7 components, right? And this is communication process. It is the basic, fundamental process, best second to the listening activities, right? Okay, this is all about communication process. Please listen it and read more. Thank you.